I know some of you tried the 40-minute session this week. Some of you are doing this 30 minutes every day, and I'm sure the 40 minutes would have given you a little bit of a different experience. It may not be the same for everybody. Sometimes those 40 minutes will just quickly go away. You may think it was just 5-10 minutes. If you felt that way, that simply means your mind was very active. When your mind is active, the time will fly off very quickly, especially when you are engaged with so many activities and at the same time your mind is very active. Those 40 minutes, if you are trying to become aware of what you are doing, it starts with many distractions in the form of thoughts, and then slowly the mind settles down and then get back to its purpose, which is to meditate. The mind gets tired after a few minutes, and then you begin to meditate. You try to get some focus, you try to leave away some thoughts, and then as time goes by, you get a feeling of comfort in focusing. It's not much hard for you to focus. In those final few minutes of your meditation, let's say starting from 30th minute, it gets settled down, you become comfortable, your body is comfortable, relaxed, and then the last 5 minutes might be the best time to be in that complete state of awareness. You'll feel so happy just by sitting. It is a joy you would experience when you do the meditation for a longer duration. When people try this for 5-10 minutes, they do this as if those 5-10 minutes will be helpful. That's what you have been hearing across in many places. Just do 15 minutes of meditation in the morning, that's all you need, or do 5-10 minutes towards the end of the day. It may be good for beginners who have no experience about meditation, but I think we are in a better position to understand what meditation is and what kind of benefit this is going to bring us. All of us know the benefit of meditation, so you want to do this more. So I encourage you to continue in this path. Whenever you can, try to do the 40 minutes, or if possible, do 30 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever works for you. Today, just like last week, we went for a hike. This time, we were a little bit late getting to the hill. It was very hot, almost 80 plus degrees. And then we were able to do the hike very quickly. My wife reminded me that is because you have been doing this for a while. In the past few weeks, we have been hiking in the same kind of temperature, the same kind of distance we are covering. So we are able to do the same kind of height within a shorter period of time, because you get used to it. Just like as we meditate more and more, you feel that this is very easy to do. I think many of you started with 5-10 minutes of meditation, and now you can sit for 30 minutes, right? So this is how you develop that practice, so that you feel more comfortable in sitting for longer duration. Whether the day has many things to do, whether you have to do so many things in the same day, you don't mind spending this few extra minutes in meditation, because we all know that if you spend more time in meditation, the amount of time you're going to spend in doing those activities in your daily life is going to be much, much shorter. You know the things that you want to avoid. You'll be having this clarity of mind, which was given to you by your meditation. So we give such an importance to our meditation in our life. It's going to enhance the way we live. You begin the day with meditation so that you know the lay of the land for the next 8 or 10 hours. You have that clarity, and then you begin what you want to do. And towards the end of the day, not while sleeping, let's say an hour or 2 hours before, just have another session of sitting meditation, and then reflect on the entire day. You might see the experience you had with the meditation. That reflection will help you to fine tune the things that you want to avoid the next day, the things you want to do better. This may sound that you are looking at the activities to be better performed, but actually what you are doing is you are fine tuning your mind in a state that it can handle more things in a much better fashion, so that you have a more fulfilling life. At the end of the day, you should feel relaxed in spite of doing all these things. Right? In spite of doing so many things in your day, you still feel relaxed. You feel a sense of satisfaction. You are not stressed that much. And then you go to bed. So you can have this kind of life every day. Every day can be like this. A few days maybe here and there you may lose your awareness, but you can have this kind of life every day without investing on any other things as an external activity. All you have to do is to understand the benefit of meditation. I'm not asking you to allot time for meditation. That's what others will ask you to do. I'm not saying that. You must understand the meaning of meditation. Once you do that, you do meditation by yourself. You don't need me or somebody or a reminder in your phone to tell you that this is time to meditate. You don't need that. You don't need reminders. You need to have a deepest understanding of what is meditation. Then you do it for yourself. So with that said, let's go to the class. I want to talk about one of the core and important teachings of Master Dogen. Even last week what we saw is important. This teaching, what we are going to learn today, is comprehensive of what he wants to tell us. This is like, you don't have to travel the entire world to understand each and every different culture. If you are able to have a very good understanding of the person who is living with you, it could be your own spouse or a daughter or a friend, you get a complete understanding of the entire world. But like that, Master Dogen is giving us this teaching, which compresses everything into just one simple verse. So let's look at that. The class started with the moon in a dewdrop, a part of the verse which we took for our study. And here we are going to go a little bit further. He was using this moon in a dewdrop as an example to convey something. So we are going to, what we are going to see today is what that teaching, the direct teaching here. So the direct teaching is very simple. You drop your body. This is number one. You have to have that ability, that understanding of dropping your body. What this means is we have such an attachment with our body because the body is our identity. When I say my name is this, all I can remember is my body. The body is the first thing that comes to my mind. So that attachment with the body has to be dropped. The second thing Master Dogen talks about is drop your mind. He goes a little bit higher. The body is something I can see. I can see my body with my eyes. The mind is something little bit deeper. He says, drop your mind. The mind which you have created. When I say you, it's not you. Let's look at our own self. I have a mind. The mind creates this identity. I drop the mind, my own mind. I drop the mind. I drop my body. When these two things happen, what is left? You have to get to that state to understand this. We'll talk about that in detail. Once you drop your body and your mind, there is also a desire when you are sitting in meditation. So Master Dogen is talking about in sitting meditation. Drop your body, drop your mind. The very reason we sit in meditation is we want to get enlightened. We want to go to that state of nirvana, right? We want to become enlightened. So the third thing Master Dogen says is drop that desire to get enlightened. So when you drop all this, you drop your body, you drop your mind, and then finally drop that desire to become enlightened. Why do you drop that desire? Because that simply means I'm not happy with what I am right now. Therefore, I want to become something in the future. I want to get enlightened. I think when I meditate, when I put all my effort into meditation, and sometime in the future, it can be tomorrow or few years from now, few months from now, I become enlightened. When I become enlightened, that is going to be a fantastic experience. At that time, all my worries are gone, all my sufferings are gone. I'm totally independent, the state of nirvana. This is a desire. If you think about it, this is a desire. Master Dogen wants to cut that desire at its root. You drop that idea of nirvana or enlightenment. So when you sit there, leaving your body and the mind, you're not dead. Okay? When I say leaving your body, it's not about dying. You drop the body, you drop the mind, and then the very desire of what you want to be, if you drop all of that, so that is the state of enlightenment, or in other words, you become a Buddha. A Buddha doesn't mean you have to become like someone who was here a long time before. He was a person. He was called a Buddha. The Siddhartha Gautama was called a Buddha, the state he attained. So when all these things are done, you become a Buddha. So now let's look at this a little bit in detail. What does it mean to drop my body? So when I look at myself, I look at this physical body. My head looks this way, my hair color is this, my body is thin, fat, or whatever, and I am young, old, or middle-aged. I am a man or woman or a girl or boy. All of these are identities. All of these are our own perception of what we are, this body. So we all have this understanding that this is me. When I come to you and then ask you, who are you? You're going to point to your own body. Let's say when I come and ask you who you are, children are, maybe you're going to show me a picture. That picture of the person who has a body, that body we identify as a person. So we have to separate this out. A person. A person is associated with a body. What is a body and a person? We have to separate that out. Our body is the physical structure, right? Your eyes, ears, and legs, arms, everything. It is a physical structure. But we have a person identified to it. This person, the person is a concept, right? The person is a concept, an idea, right? This person has a name. This person thinks he is from a specific location, a country. He has this skin color, therefore he is this. He follows a specific religion, therefore he is this. He loves to do things in a certain way, therefore he is this. He is a CEO of a company. So that person, I think you get the idea. That person, whatever you made it up, is associated with this body, and then you call it, this is me. This body is me. So what is the danger behind this? When this body becomes sick, that person suffers, right? So let's separate this out a little bit. It's very easy to understand. You separate out this person. Your body, the physical structure, becomes ill. Your physical structure has a headache. It has a wound. It has some sufferings. The physical body has certain limitations, therefore it is suffering for whatever reasons. The physical body, which you treat with a medication or whatever your doctor is going to recommend you. Who is suffering? The person who identifies with himself with this body is suffering. My body is becoming old. My body is becoming diseased. My body doesn't look nice. I'm not looking pretty. I'm not beautiful. My body looks ugly. With this identification, the person suffers, right? So this is something we have to understand very clearly. So what happens when you drop this body? When you know for sure this physical structure has a beginning, it goes through a lot of changes every day. It will go through a lot more changes in the coming years. And then at some point, it cannot continue to survive. There is a limitation, just like any other animals or birds or plants. We often forget that this happens only to us. Just to look around. Look around, you just step out of your home, even within your home, you look at a plant. The plant goes through the same kind of changes. A simple bird or an animal goes through all of this. We also go through it. It's not just we. There are millions of people before us who went through the same journey, right? Even the stars and planets go through the same thing. So when you look at these changes, and you know that this is something for real, you cannot do anything about it. You can do a few things, but you don't have to suffer this much. So when you take away that person from your body. So this is what Master Dogen says, drop your idea of your body. So this is step number 1. What is step number 2? Remember I talked about this person, right? The person, the concept that this is the guy or a girl who looks certain way, he prefers only Indian food, he prefers to wear the way he dresses in a certain way, this is the kind of things he does at work, this is how he behaves with his family and friends. This person, the concept which you have created, even this person is constantly evolving, he is changing. The moment we were born, Let's say you are just 3 months old, 6 months old. You don't have an identity. You don't even know that, oh, this is me. That baby doesn't know. And slowly we give that baby a name. That's when all that trouble starts. I heard someone that, why do we name a baby? Right? Let's not go into that topic. It's a funny thing to think about. Some people tried that. As soon as I give that name to that baby, it thinks, oh, this is me. And then it slowly develops the personality. We tell the baby that, hey, you are a boy. Therefore, you wear this dress kind of a boy. As a boy, you play certain things. You are a girl, you can do only certain things. And then the baby grows and grows, and then it has its all the things around it. The environment shapes it, the society shapes this person. The person is being shaped up by all these factors, and then that baby becomes 10 year, 20 year, 30 year, 40 year, 50 years old, and then it is strongly attached with that person as an identity, which is constantly being changing. We talked about this last class also. The person whom I met 5 years before is not the same guy whom I'm going to meet tomorrow. Lots have changed. So this person, which is our own construct of the mind, it keeps changing and we get attached to it, this person, which is a creation of the mind. Master Dogen says, drop that idea, drop your mind. That person is nothing but the creation of all of your past thoughts and emotions, associations, bonding, all of that is that person, which is nothing but your mind. Your mind is a construct. The mind is not an organ. It is not the brain. Brain is a physical organ. You can open your skull and you can see the organ called brain. The mind doesn't live there. There is no organ called a mind. You only have a brain. The brain generates all these thoughts, emotions, and then it creates that mind, a beautiful construct, the way you want. Each one creates their own mind. It's such a beautiful image of yourself. There is no you, this is an image. The image what you have put together. So if I ask myself to put together something about myself, let's say somebody is asking me to write an essay about myself. If you read that essay, and this is only for myself, I'm just going to use some rosy and beautiful words to describe myself. This is what I am, such a great person I am. I am capable of doing so many things. I have a loving heart. I can be friends with anybody, all these beautiful things. Because that is your construction. You won't know how others are perceiving with their own limitations. So this mind which we have created, you try to drop it. That's what Master Dogen says, but it's very hard to do. If you look at ourselves, today we did something which I wanted to do for a while. I want to share this with you because our attachment to our own identity is so strong. Even after you die, you want to stick to that identity. That's something I experienced today. After our hike, we were just driving around and we went to this part of the city where there is a huge cemetery. It's, I think, I do not know how many acres this is, such a huge place. Each time we pass by, I used to say, I want to get in to see, because as you know, in American cemetery, right, it looks so beautiful. It's lots of greenery around, lots of trees. It looks like a Garden of Eden, right? So you want to, this is my perception, many people do not want to enter. For me, this is something, a place to practice, because in Buddhism, not just in Buddhism. If you want to experience what life is, that's other part you have to understand. So we thought, okay, let's drive around. Luckily, I have a family who can understand all this, so they have to bear with me. They might not have wanted to go there. So I thought we can go around. In the American cemetery, you can just drive around. It's a huge place. So as I entered that cemetery in a car, right? In a car, I entered that cemetery. The first thing I saw, there were streets, okay? There are street names. I was surprised. There were street names for each of those cemeteries. It's a huge place. Just like when you drive around a neighborhood, you have rows of houses, a street name, there was a street name. The first street name was Meditation Drive. So I thought, oh, this is a good sign. I can now enter. Meditation Drive is the first street name. So then I drove through. At one section of that huge place, I started seeing Vietnamese, I think these are burial grounds. So you can see the Vietnamese names. How do I know the Vietnamese? I have many Vietnamese friends, and there are many beautiful Buddhist Vietnamese temples here. So I used to go there. So I know the names and the way they have decorated the tombstones. It has that flavor, that culture of Vietnam as you drive by. You see all this, Nguyen, few names, you can see them, they are Vietnamese. And then we drove by a little bit further down. There is a very special section for Japanese. There was a small structure which was like a Japanese temple. And then you can see all the tombstones carrying all the Japanese names. Again, I am familiar with these names. I can tell these are Japanese names. And we drove further on the other side, lots of crosses and many Spanish names. You can know from the last names that these are Spanish people. And a lot of crosses and Jesus and angels, that section. Other section was Buddhist. And then you see the regular places where there is Americans. And there is one section for people, I think, from the Civil War era, more than 150 years. It was like flat. So it was meant for that. And then as we came out of this cemetery, there was a special section. It was fenced. And I was trying to read those names. They were Germanic, Jewish names. And I thought, okay, this is a special section for Jewish people too. And then we came out. I started wondering, this was just a visit, nothing, because there are a few people inside, I just wanted to go and see. And one funny thing before we left was, I think there were a few people in one of the grave, and then it was like a photo shoot. I saw these huge umbrellas put together, and there were two people sitting in the head of the tombstone, and they were taking pictures. They dressed up very nicely. I think they came for memorial or whatever it is. So the few family, there was a professional photographer, and he has all these umbrellas to get the best lighting, and then taking pictures. They were smiling. I thought, oh, this is so much fun. I never seen such things back in my home country, which is India. So we came out. So when I went through this, I thought, people are so identified with their own self, even after death. It is not that those people wanted to have them, but we put that attachment, even for someone who has left this earth. They are no more living, but still we want to say, hey, this is a Vietnamese guy. He followed Christianity. He was such a loving guy. He has this face. You have this picture of this guy in that tombstone. I'm not saying anything wrong about this person. There's many such different people's pictures and from different community. So it was all there. So we don't want to leave that identity. If we cannot even leave those identity when we are dead, can we do that now? It's very hard. Can I lose my identity as an Indian male middle-aged person? It's very hard. So that is the idea. Master Dogen says, drop that idea. Once you drop that idea, and get out of it, then you are in that state of enlightenment. You are no more suffering because of all these associations with your family, with your spouse, whoever they are, with your job. We identify ourselves a lot with our job. I have been hearing many people who are losing their jobs and getting back to work, looking for work. So they feel as if they lost their identity. I understand that when you lose a job, there are some economic dependency, but for some people, it may lead to a state of depression because your entire identity is with that job. The job gives you such a big identity to yourself, a meaning to your living. That is why when people retire from work, many of them will die off after a few years. So they have studied all this, why people die off immediately after retirement. I think there is a time span of 2 to 4 years. So when you die within that time frame, it is nothing but you have lost the meaning of living. So therefore, today we all say that you need to have some kind of a hobby, right? You have some hobby, you have something interesting to do, you can continue. At least not to put all your eggs in one basket, which is called your job. We are so much identified with our job, which gives you suffering and all that. So that identity has to be removed. Drop it. Do not try to remove it. When I say remove, it means you're bringing in someone to do that job. No. You drop it with the understanding that this body is something, it exists in a specific period of time, and when the conditions are not good, this body is going to just disappear. And when the conditions are not good, the mind is no more there. So which brings me to the other verse we talked about earlier, the dewdrop. Remember, we talked about this dewdrop. Yeah, dewdrop in the early morning hours. So when you take a walk, let's say there is a dewdrop in a blade of grass early in the morning, let's say 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. That dewdrop exists because of certain conditions. The morning was cool, there was some water in the environment and it cooled down. There was a blade of grass which was ready to hold this, and therefore the dewdrop came into existence in that very morning. And then what happens? You can see the entire world in that dewdrop. That's what Master Dogen talks about. What happens when the sun comes out? When the whole earth is filled with the lights and the rays of the sun, and suddenly the entire environment surrounding this grass is going to heat up. And then what happens? This dewdrop, which was such a beautiful, nicely shaped, glittering dewdrop, it simply breaks away and goes off. Where does it go? There are a lot of talks about rebirths. This is a beautiful way of understanding this concept. When the dewdrop disintegrates, because the temperature is becoming warmer, so it cannot stay in that state, or the pressure, the air pressure, whatever it is, all these conditions, now it just breaks. A dewdrop, as you know, a small drop of water, very, very small. And now when it disintegrates, it is not disappearing, right? It's not going nowhere. That small drop of water is going to disintegrate into maybe thousands or millions of very small, tiny particles which you cannot see. So what happens to these millions of particles from that one dewdrop? It is going to spread and get merged with this surroundings. So what happens then? If the conditions are good again, the next day there might be another dewdrop, maybe on a different plant, on a different blade of grass. But do you think all these disintegrated particles come together in the exact same way? Let's say this particle has a name. So let's say there are 10,000 of them. Do you think all those 10,000 particles come together again and then form the same dewdrop? No. They all disintegrated. It might form a different dewdrop with few other particles from other dewdrops in the same area or a different area. So it is going to form something new. You can say, hey, this is a new dewdrop. What is the continuation from the earlier one to this one? You cannot say that dewdrop no more exists. That is a wrong understanding. Many of the people who talks about emptiness, the concept of Buddhism, they misinterpret, saying that this just disappears. That's what we call emptiness. No, it doesn't disappear. The existence of that dewdrop at that moment was true. It was there. And then it disintegrates. It doesn't disappear. And then it comes back in a different form, in a different conditions, or sometimes it may not come at all. You cannot predict the conditions, all that matter. When the conditions are good, things will happen. Just like how we are born. When the conditions are good, from your father and the contribution of your mother, a small cell begins its life, and then it comes and forms a baby and comes out and do all that, and you have this personality, the person, and then you call him with a name. This whole thing we think is of our own identity, and it is not our identity. The identity, the mind which we create because of the simple reason that we are higher intelligent beings, human beings. An animal cannot be aware of its own birth and death. A human being can do that because we have this intelligence. We have been evolving, and now we are in this state of highest state of evolving, which is nothing but a human being. Can you go from here as a human being who has this physical form to the next level of evolution, which is the state of Buddha? He is of the superior kind of human being. That's all. He is not a god. He is not an angel. He doesn't have big powers. It is simply an evolved human being. When I say evolved, the state of human mind, which is no more attached to the body or all the other things which we call as our mind and our own identity, when it evolves from this self-centeredness to that different state where you can see the reality of life and live through it with no disturbance of your mind, with no stress associated, because you know the reality. I'm not going to cry that this dewdrop has disappeared. I'm not going to be joyful because I see a new dewdrop. This comes and goes. And if we can understand this, and if we can step back and then know that the whole creation of ourselves is because of myself, my mind, I have created this identity. When you get this understanding, the one teaching we want to take from Master Dogen is this. If we can understand this, and if we can drop our mind and the body and the very idea of going somewhere to become enlightened, so then that state of mind is what a Buddha attained, the next level of evolution. Why do we get attached? The simple reason. Why do we get attached to this body? Why do we get attached to this mind? Why do we get attached to our own family and friends, our identity as a particular nation, all those things? Because we feel insecure. Somebody gave a very good interpretation of what is samsara. The samsara, the cycle of suffering and happiness which we all go through. Insecurity is the interpretation. What is insecurity? Is one kind of interpretation. We want to feel secure by having a good job. We expect security in a job. You think that job or the money making way or money making method is going to give you security, but you are looking at the wrong place. There is no security. As we all know, things change. You're not going to be in that job forever. In the same way, we try to find security in each and everything we do in our life. We want to find security from the love you get from your spouse or from your children or from a teacher or whoever it is. Or we want to find a security by having a beautiful home or a nice car. That's where it gives you the security. For some people, the title itself, the President of the United States, or whatever name you want to call it, a CEO, he also feels the same way, right? All of these are helping us. We think that this is going to give me security, but in reality, they are not permanent. They keep changing. Therefore, we want to hold on to them. So samsara can be also defined as that feeling of insecurity. We know that at some point all of these things are going to disappear, but the mind doesn't want them to disappear. So that feeling of insecurity is samsara. I let you think about it. So where can you look for security? You cannot look for security in things that are changing. Is there anything that can stay permanent, going to be here all the time? There is nothing like that. It keeps changing. So you cannot find security in any of these things. The only security you can find is the very understanding that things are not permanent. If we have this understanding and have the acceptance deep in our heart, not just by listening to what I say, it should go deeper into your heart and the understanding and the deepest acceptance. So then you are free from all these sufferings and all of these shortcomings in life, because you understood the value of life, or what is life is all about. So with that, let me stop here. In all these 4 weeks, we had the opportunity to go into some of the teachings of Master Dogen. So let me stop here.